Hey guys, welcome to the Perfectly Wasted podcast. I'm the host, DullOxide. In this podcast, I try to take about 10 minutes of your time to see if I can't hopefully entertain you and possibly educate you some on whatever the topic of the episode is. Today's episode is pet proofing a Christmas tree. You can find all of my previous episodes on the Drinking Wisemen YouTube channel, along with my very sporadic podcast, Brew the Truth, where basically a bunch of people that are drinking get together to talk and talk about random subjects. You can find all my day-to-day photos and cosplay photos on my Instagram at DullOxide as well. So obviously it's about the time of year where people start putting up their Christmas trees. And while there are plenty of different ways that you can pet-proof rooms and items around your house, a Christmas tree, I think it's kind of harder. So I had to pet proof my Christmas tree, and while there are some very extreme ways that you can pet proof these things, for instance, inside of the photo that I have here, they've got a giant gate around it to keep their pets out, which obviously would probably work for certain pets. But in the case that that's not something that you can do and you can't, get rid of your pet or even just put it inside of a room where your pet can't have it or just not have a Christmas tree for whatever reason, then there are some other options out there. Now, I'm going to share with you my experience here with pet proofing my tree. So this year, after I took my tree out, I noticed that a lot of the branches were really bent because my cats enjoyed climbing it a lot last year. And that, of course, with their weight, basically made the branches droop quite a bit. So this year I had to bend them back and make sure it all looked okay. And then I tried to find another different way to try and keep them away. So my first attempt last year was to go and get some bitter spray and spray it on there because I thought maybe the bitterness would keep them away from it. But unfortunately, even with the plethora of products that are out there, it just didn't seem to help. So while the bitter spray did make it so that, basically I was dying putting it on because, I sprayed so much on it to try and keep them away that it just was in the air. If you touch a branch and happen to do all I could say is just completely shower and wash yourself with soap afterwards. Because if you happen to just taste it on anything that you're doing, it's a pretty awful taste. And even after you've sprayed it, it's pretty terrible. Like you can just taste it in the air and it's really, really horrible. So I would not really recommend going super heavy on bitter spray unless your pet is chewing on something that you don't want them to chew on. And even if that's the case, watch out for yourself because that shit is just really gross. So bitter spray definitely works. It would even work on humans, I'd say, but that's probably something you only want to get if they're actually biting or chewing on something. And I probably wouldn't recommend it just to try and keep them away from the tree because it's just pretty horrible. So keep that in mind when you're looking at things like bitter spray. Now, another thing is that if you are trying to pet proof a Christmas tree in specific, then you want to make sure that you are getting shatterproof ornaments. Now, this kind of sucks because there's a lot of ornaments that are out there that aren't shatterproof that are really fucking cool. I don't generally go for like Hallmark ones, but Hallmark actually does have a lot of really nice ornaments for a lot of really nerdy things, which I happen to like. And unfortunately, if they're like ceramic or glass or anything basically that can fall and break, I just can't have it on my tree because my cats are little jerks that like to crawl all over everything. But, that's kind of their instinct, so I can't hold it against them too much. I can get slightly aggravated and upset about it, but at the same time, it's my fault for putting that kind of crap on the tree where I know that they can get to it or knock it down or even accidentally knock it down. Because let's be real, the cats just want to climb the tree. They don't necessarily want to knock down your ornaments. Unless you're using globes, in which case maybe they do, because my cats love to chase the globes around. In fact, last year, even with the Shatterproof ornaments, I found probably about 50% of them were knocked off by the cat so they can play with them like they're cat toys. So, short of going the far off extremes here, which I stated where, of course, putting the tree basically in its own room that you can close away from pets, fencing the tree off, installing the tree on your ceiling, or not having the tree at all. And of course, the other extreme, which would be to not have pets or get rid of the pets. The only other thing that you could do is try and keep them away in some way, shape, or form. And there's tons of information out on the internet. Some of it may work for some pets, but in my case, I found pretty much everything did not work for me. So my cats specifically my cat Star, decided that he doesn't care what I did to the tree to make him stay away. The bitter spray didn't matter because he's not going to bite the tree. He doesn't really care, you know. I tried the citronella oil to see if I can get them to think that the scent was bad, you know. Didn't work at all. Even when I sprayed with basically, 50-50 citronella oil and, water, did not take it at all. Now, they do have other products that are, offensive smells to pets, but I tried to go for the one that was supposed to be tried and true, and it apparently didn't work. Maybe if I went to a pet store and purchased something that was the actual, like, pet keep away type thing, that might have worked. But so far, something that I did find that seems to be working is this compressed air motion heat sensing thing called the SCAT. Okay, so it's made by PetSafe, and it basically, if what the directions say on it is accurate, can sense heat inside of a 3-foot range, and it blasts just compressed air out, and it scares the shit out of my cats. Now, while you might not want to necessarily scare your cats, I find it kind of funny, even though I don't really want to scare them. I just want them to not go at the tree, but that's kind of what this is for. So this is kind of like a pet trainer to keep them away from something that you just don't want them getting in. Now, I think it was about $25 for it, which seems kind of costly because basically you're paying for compressed air, but it also has, the heat sensor, and of course it's automated, so there's that. It didn't come with batteries, so I had to actually buy 4 AAA batteries, which seems like a tremendous amount of batteries for such a small device, but so far it seems to be working. The cats don't seem to want to go near it because it does let out like a second blast, and it's pretty frightening. Shit, when it goes off, it frightens me. Okay, so I'm guessing that it's probably going to work for the majority of pets also, and I think it might actually be one of the better ways that you can train them, because while I've tried spraying them with water bottles, trying to get the scent that they don't like, trying to make sure that they can't eat it, and trying to get ornaments that can withstand them, I still have not found any way, besides this so far, that I can keep the cats off the fucking tree. So my recommendation is, if you've gone through and you're trying to look for a way to keep your pets away from a tree, a room, anything really, then sure, the internet's going to have tons of stuff. Sure, you might want to try something that is not as maybe harsh as this, which this isn't really that harsh because you can actually kind of control where it sprays the air at. So right now I have mine spraying it like basically as far up as it can spray it, so it's not going to just blast my cats in their face. But it does frighten them, and I don't really want to frighten them. I just want them to not do something. So since I can't really train them any other way, especially since I'm not home all the time, this is the solution that I had to come with. And while there might be other solutions that would work for other people, this just seems to be the easiest method for me myself. So I'm sharing it with you guys. Hopefully, all these different things have helped you kind of get a grasp on different ways that you can pet proof areas and trees, specifically Christmas trees in this time of year, to keep it so that your tree doesn't get ruined by your pets. There are other ways out there. Do a little bit of research. If you find any way that maybe I didn't mention, please share it. I'm always looking for extra ways to keep my cats out of things. Please do like, subscribe, and share these episodes. It helps a tremendous amount. If you have any additional input on maybe future episodes, if you'd like to join me for an episode of Brew the Truth, or, you just want to say anything about the episodes that I've done so far, by all means, let me know. Please do comment down below. Thanks again for joining us. As always, this was 10 minutes perfectly wasted.